Hello YouTube, Ralph from Anarchy Guitars here. Today I'm going to discuss with you how to take an orange peeled finish, like on the back of this guitar which I'm working on, to this end product right here. Just beautiful gin clear finish. This makes guitars look really nice with a good finish on them. First thing we're going to need to do is make sure we get a good brand of wet or dry paper. I go from 1,000, 1,500 up to 2,500. I don't generally start at 600 and work my way up. If you've put a decent finish on this, nice thin coats of clear lacquer, you shouldn't have to start that low. As far as lacquer goes, I prefer this right here. It's a nitrous cellulose lacquer, which is great for instruments. It dries really hard. It's an oil-based lacquer. I don't generally like the water-based lacquers. I've tried them. They just do not perform as well as the oil-based ones do. Once you've completed your sanding operations, you're going to need some rubbing compound. And then some people do it, I do it particularly, some don't. I like to use a cow polishing compound at the end here to make sure that you get that really nice finish. Like I said, I start with 1,000 grit. You're going to need some nice clean water with a little soap in it. Acts as a lubricant, helps take the grains of material that you sanded off out of there. Some of these microfiber cloths here to wipe it down, make sure you're getting the grit off between layers. Some rubber gloves. You're also going to want a little piece of wood like this, something that's flat as a sanding block, to make sure that the surface maintains its flat. You don't want to be rubbing in here with your fingers back and forth because you will put little gouges in it. You won't necessarily see them while you're working, but when you polish it and the guitar is finished, when you look at angles, you will see the waves on it, the finish. So let me get started here. Just showing you a little bit of the video how I sand. Now the big question a lot of people like to ask is circles or just back and forth? Quite frankly, I use both. Why? Because you get bored of just going around in circles after a while. It doesn't really make a difference to the end finish on this guitar, because once you put the rubbing compound on there, how they're sanded beforehand makes no difference. So that's just, some people say back and forth, some say circles. I think it's just irrelevant. I think it's just what you're doing while you're working. If you're bored one way, go the other way. Been sanded for a while, you'll notice that the paper is kind of gliding over the top. It's no longer got that grainy feel to it, basically sand feel to it. That means your paper is loaded. It's time to switch it, turn it over, whatever you got on your block, but get a different piece on there. You're going to end up having lots of fill. The material is all through this paper now, and you're going to start damaging the finish. Do not try to sand the entire thing with one piece of sandpaper. Being cheap doesn't work. Okay, right now, I'm stopping again to wipe off the surface, take another look at it, because if you've gone past what you really need to do, you're just wasting time and taking off finish that you don't need to be removing off the body. You just want to make sure that all the low spots are now flat and gone, which it looks like I'm going to be ready to move on to that 1,500 grit paper. Okay, the back is ready to move on to the 1,500 grit. Now we're going to work on the front, doing the same thing we did on the back. I would like to talk about the edges for a second though. When you put the clear coat on there, your corners are going to be your weakest points, where the least amount of clear is on there. Even if you have covered it excessively, it's still going to wear through faster. You know how things go on the corner. You want to be very careful when you're sanding these. You're going to do that by hand. And you definitely do not want to go through the clear and end up in your finish, or the hydrographic print in this case, because that means disaster and you're starting all over again, repainting from the beginning. Okay, the body of this guitar has now been sanded flat, brought up to a 2,500 grit finish. We're going to start the polishing process, which is going to involve some rubbing compound, a foam ball. It's the type I like to use. You can get this stuff at car care centers. It's generally where you find most of this, and in the end we'll be finishing with a polishing compound. I'm going to give you a little example of how that's done. And then again, you don't need to watch me do the entire body. It's just a waste of time for you. You will notice that on the table here is another towel. This is to make sure that when you do move it around and that, you don't ding it up, you don't scratch it, you don't dent it. So we're going to set this up and start out with this real simple process using a microfiber towel. Getting a little rubbing compound on there. You can put it on fairly liberally. just like this. You get enough of it on there to make sure you'll be able to work the entire body with it, or at least the section that you're going to be working on. Cover the stuff back up so it doesn't dry out. This is set on the lower speed so you don't burn the finish out. And you need to continually keep moving. You cannot stay in one spot. You will burn the lacquer off and then you'll have problems. When you notice the rubbing compound is all gone, swirled into the finish, you just simply apply a little more. And so on, keep doing it until you get the desired finish with this, and then you move on to the polishing compound. At this point, I'm going to stop the video here, and I'll pick it back up when I do continue to do the buffing. Okay, after a little work with the rubbing compound, I just wanted to give you a better angle at it so you can see it a little bit better. You can see that this is already turned into a really, really nice finish on here. Some guys would call this good enough, but like I said, I like to take it up with a polishing compound and really, really get that gin clear finish to it. This side has been finished with the rubbing compound. This side obviously has to be done yet, but it'll go through exactly the same process I just described. When I do work with the polishing compound though, I do prefer to use an actual polishing machine with a nice wool bonnet on it. Those do come a lot nicer. They do take care of any little scratches or residual dings that are in there, and you'll be ready to go. So that's the end of this portion. The next thing I'm going to be showing you is the wiring and electronic build on this guitar. Thanks for watching.